Aries series. Once again, I'm TJ Osmu, Sanders, and this time I'm joined with Frodan. He's
What's up,
back.
man? It's good to be back. It's been so long since we've cast together, TJ. It's been about 2.5 months. No, it's a solid 2 months.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Did you miss me?
I did. I missed you a lot.
Well, it's great to be here, man. So far, it's good games. Really fun series, Savits versus Leadpaint. But I think we're going to go to our next series in just a second. I'm really excited to be here, though. I think Season 2 is shaping up pretty well. I've been watching the past couple of weeks that you guys have been broadcasting. It's awesome to see Clento Levcoach be able to win that, despite, being one of the favorites. Everyone has such big expectations for the big names, but when they actually perform, it's even cooler. Yeah,
it really is. And while you're here, you actually just went ahead and took the shirt right off of Monk's back.
I did. That's right. In fact, I didn't come with a shirt to the studio today. I thought it was one of those topless casts.
Yeah.
And then they said, Frodan, today is actually a day where you have to wear a shirt. So I said, oh, okay. So
common mistake.
I asked Monk if I could borrow his shirt. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we can take a look at the format for the season once again, just to give you guys a little bit of a reminder. We've actually moved to a bi-monthly format for the Legendary Series match day, so twice a month. Challenger Cup will be followed by a Legendary Series match day the week after. The winner of each of these Legendary Series match days goes on to that LAN finals, so 4 players. Then 4 players will make it through from a redemption tournament, and 8 players from that last chance open to make for 16.
I believe you mean bi-weekly. Bi-monthly is very rarely. Bi-monthly is like how often I do my laundry, DJ.
Well, wouldn't it be? Isn't
That's why I
bi-monthly
actually
2 times
topless.
a month? That would make sense. Isn't bi-monthly 2 times a month?
No, I thought bi-monthly means every 2 months, like bi-weekly. Bi-weekly means every 2 weeks. Like binoculars means 2 lenses.
That's true, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
It could be. It could be, TJ. But then again, we're just casters. We're never right.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That's what it is. Guys, we also want to talk to you about the last chance qualifier, or last call qualifier, the LCQ. That's an opportunity for people to have the open portion of the league yet again. We give 6 spots a week every single time we host one of these broadcasts, but 2 of them are invited. But only 8 players will be decided through the invite process after qualifying. We're going to have one more chance for 8 players to qualify in order to get some World Championship points and part of the prize pool. So the way it's going to happen is that if you're from North America or Canada, you can definitely sign up for that. If you're in Europe or international in Asia, unfortunately, we can't open up just due to the fact that it's going to be very close to the event. Yeah. We don't want to have visa and complication issues and travel problems. So if you are an international player, you're watching from Taiwan, we have a lot of Taiwan and Chinese players trying to qualify, or you're Southeast Asia, Australia, Europe, we highly recommend you go to Challenge Cup number 4 for your last opportunity to get into the ESL Legendary Series Season 2 finals. Yeah,
and you can check out that at legendaryseries.com for more information. There's a limited number of spots, actually. So it's first come, first served basis. So you can check out that today. Make sure that you're set up for next weekend for that Challenger Cup. And, of course, none of this would be possible at all without our sponsors. Playtronics and Gigabyte have joined us for Season 2. And, of course, we have a lot more in store coming up with the Redemption Qualifier, the Last Chance Qualifier, the LAN Finals, which we're hoping to upgrade this year. And a big shout out to those guys for making it. Yeah, it already is upgraded. Yeah. 16 players this time instead of 8.
That's right. With more players, we've got some fun surprises planned, not just production-wise, but you might see some of your favorite personalities there as well. I'm really excited for the event overall. It's going to be in the middle of summer, so make sure to keep your eyes peeled out for more information.
Indeed. And, of course, make sure you're tweeting at us throughout the day as well. Use the hashtag HLS. Follow us on Twitter at ESL Hearthstone. If you have any predictions or any thoughts on what you think about the matches or even the LAN finals that are coming up, we'll be checking those tweets periodically throughout the day, responding to you. And, of course...
Or how well I fit in Monk's shirt.
Or how well you fit in Monk's shirt,
That's right.
And you even stole his glasses as well. Nobody would even know.
Yeah, it's still debatable. I mean, I actually do need to get new glasses. These glasses are 3 years old, and I can barely see the screen in front of me, man. I'm becoming an old man. That can't really recognize the screen. I have to lean so far to see the cards, man, and read their abilities and stuff.
Can confirm.
That's why I can't see Lethal, TJ. That's why.
Wow, you have a lot better excuse than I usually do.
The truth is just that I'm just bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, of course, we are giving away packs as well. Make sure you head over
are we? That's awesome.
We always give away packs, and, of course, I love packs. Head over to ESL.gg/legendarywk3, of course, for week number 3. Entered into a raffle to win some packs. And with that, we should take a look at our groups one more time to take a look at the players that will be participating the rest of the day.
All right, so taking a look at Group A, just to give you a status check. We're about to go into Leadpaint versus Ostkaka. They are the losers match. We will wrap up the group, though, with Kabi versus Savitz. The winner of that, of course, goes on to Day 2 in a very dominant position. In Group B, we have Ignite versus, is it Chalky to start things off?
Ignite versus Chalky is first.
And then we have Chiang versus Tuwei. Chiang from China. Tuwei, do we know where he's from?
Well, he's from New Jersey.
Oh, is he?
But he moved to the United States from China when he was in 3rd grade, I believe he said. So originally he's Chinese.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, you know, he's a lot like, you know, Monk's background, for example. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because Monk's from New Jersey, too, and he's also Chinese background.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's interesting.
Aren't you from New Jersey?
I wonder if we just, like, conveniently says, okay, all right, Monk, you rotate out for this one, Frodo, and you and TJ cast. And all of a sudden, two-way comes up and it's Monk playing, and it's like, oh, hey, guys, I didn't tell you. I actually qualified for ESL Week 3. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, and he changed his handle to Too Wet. It's really fitting for Monk.
Yeah, Liquid Too Wet.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all
It's
just,
right there.
It's all just a
And
conspiracy.
Half-Life Dream just got confirmed.
All right,
there you go.
We do have the classes and the match play ready for this first matchup between Ostkaka and Leadpaint. Now, both these guys lost their first-round matches, so the loser of this is actually eliminated. Of course, they will have another chance in the Redemption Tournament if that's the case, but they won't have that chance to automatically qualify today. Ostkaka actually got 3-0'd by Kabi in that first matchup.
Yeah, it was pretty, you know, heartbreaking, even starting from the first Warrior versus Warrior match. But I think it won't discourage him. Ostkaka's been in this position many times. At the same time, we don't know too much about Leadpaint, although he played pretty solid. I think overall Savitz had some pretty nasty rolls on those RNG cards that gave him the big swing. But still, a lot of the cool things, like Savitz bringing that Paladin deck, for example, not sure if Leadpaint was anticipating that exactly.
Yeah, Leadpaint is sort of an unproven player, but the one thing that he has done to prove himself is actually being the only player to qualify twice for the Legendary Series. We saw him in Week 2, and he had an underwhelming performance. He went out pretty quickly. He was one of the first players eliminated, and so he's still got a lot to prove.
He's on Team GNC?
Grand National Champions.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure if that was the nutrition store.
Yeah.
Which, that'd be pretty sweet.
It would be. I don't think they've gotten into esports yet, but that would be a big step.
Right. That'd be really helpful for the question that Ray Knight always gets asked. Well, that affects his games.
It does, yeah.
All right. Well, looks like we're gonna have Rogue versus Hunter to start things off. One thing that's interesting to note too about this entire series matchup is that we have 6 exclusive classes. There's no repeats. You're not gonna have a mirror match at all. And more importantly, I'm looking at a few classes here to really be the X factor. Warrior being one of them, considering that Leadpaint, he does have that Hunter deck. So, you know, Ostkaka gets an unfavorable match to start things off, but Rogue can still do this, especially if you get such a slow start from Leadpaint. What is this hand?
Yeah, we saw earlier, this is the mid-range Hunter, and this I don't think is as poor of a matchup for Rogue as the Face Hunter, because they have ways to sort of they have more opportunities to draw into it. Sometimes if a Rogue gets a slow start against a Face Hunter, they just get completely blown out and don't really have a chance. By the time they catch up, they're already too low health. But this gives them a chance to draw into some of that removal, and gives them more of a chance to race if it comes down to that.
Leah is not what you want to see. That is unbelievable. They're just such a slow start. And, you know, one thing for Ostkaka is that normally as the Rogue, you don't get time to set up very much. You know, you're often taking a lot of damage by now. So normally on turn 2, you would like to try to put out some pressure with Thanos so you can draw cards and whatnot. But he's given so much time that he's taken the board lead, and he has a 3-1 dagger out. It's like the equivalent of getting Fari Warax out early against Hunter. This is amazing.
It is. He's going to have to draw into a prep would be really crucial in the next coming turns. Just be able to maybe utilize these sprints or this oil a little bit. But
he's got time.
Yeah, he does. But again, yeah, he does have quite a bit of time.
All right, well, Thanos is still something, considering that it can challenge a 1-health minion, draws you a card, and, you know, it's annoying enough that spell power is somewhat relevant.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it will get blocked by a Lotheb, assuming that's what Leadpaint immediately snap calls until you draw something better. But this is still a very, very slow start for Leadpaint, to the point where it almost might be too late unless Ostkaka just, like, doesn't find a way to kill his opponent. He keeps drawing, like, sap number 2, backstab number 2, and, like, and then all of a sudden Leadpaint just chooses to burn his opponent out.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of damage inside of Leadpaint's hand.
Yeah, a lot of burn once he starts to get going here. And also this explosive trap going to give him more value out of this bow. Eventually he is going to proc that, but it's just a matter of time, or it's just a matter of whether or not he can afford to try and get that last charge that Unicorn bow out before it comes.
Right. Now, this is a tough spot in terms of just having to decide, like, how do you weigh your options? He first tests to see on the off chance it's freezing trap.
Yeah.
Because his opponent played so slow that it's like, well, maybe this is just like a really bad draw for a slower hunter. So he chooses to play the Farseer afterwards. Definitely like that play. His opponent gains another charge, but hopefully this Farseer can gain 6 health, healing 3 plus the weapon charge.
Yeah, definitely.
And there is that freezing trap that he was unsure about, so being able to test for it, I kind of like that Ostkaka was going for that sequence. Leadpaint, unfortunately, still victim to the draws. He's drawing his traps. What happens when he draws his Mad Scientist, TJ?
It's going to be really rough. We did see, we actually didn't get to see a lot of this mid-range hunter deck. We didn't see the full. There is a possibility that he could be running a 3rd trap, maybe a snake trap, but we did see 2 freezings plus an explosive, so it's very unlikely. As that would be the likelihood that you draw into your secrets, the more you put it.
Right. Oh my goodness, that's just really, really rough. But you know what? This Lothep gotten 5 damage. That's pretty big. The fact that Lothep did 5 damage and there's nothing on board to immediately challenge it does make it difficult. SI7 Agent comes into hand though, and that gives Ostkaka several options here in what he wants to do.
Yeah, but that freezing trap is going to be pretty problematic. One of the cards that is able to deal with freezing trap really well is Violet Teacher. But a lot of times rogues, especially with a dead hand like this, aren't developing more than 1 body at a time. So what he's going to do is he's going to be able to deal with what's on the board. But that freezing trap is going to be problematic. He's going to be taking consistent damage over the next couple of turns. And we can see Leadpaint actually has a lot of burn in his hand. So this could be having double sprint in that opening hand for Ostkaka could end up being his downfall in this match.
Yeah, one thing that we didn't mention too is that Ostkaka had also a pretty rough hand in the middle of the game, just because there wasn't actually things to do. He had to essentially just pass with 2 or 3 mana. That gave Hunter time. This is going to definitely come down to an opportunity to race. Ostkaka, though, he can't really activate that second part of the Sharp Sword Oil, which is the +3 attack, as long as there's a freezing trap on.
So he's going to need to try and maybe leverage that into a Blade Flurry or try and draw into like Deadly Poison Blade Flurry. He doesn't have enough damage in his hand right now to be able to try and race.
Well, he's got 12 damage in hand. He's got Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil and Eviscerate.
But how much is he going to take over those couple turns?
That's true. Meanwhile, if Leadpaint could optimize every point of damage, he would have 16 without using his hero powers, which gives him the edge. Now, fortunately, this Kizon Mystic, it could have been something else. It's a Beast Tech. But I think he's catching on that, he just wants to start doing damage to his opponent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good draw. Yeah. Azure Drake gives Ostkaka finally something to do without having to commit his entire turn to a sprint. And the spell power might be highly relevant for Eviscerate being erased, Blade Flurry might be erased.
Oh, prep as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, he can't prep oil first.
But
and there is that inherent danger.
But next turn with 9 mana available, there's a possibility for him to prep sprint and draw into a whole lot of damage, maybe even the potential for lethal.
What if you oil now? Like, what if you prep oil and then just hold? And then, maybe even eviscerate the phase because you know that you're going to raise. Yeah, it's like it forces the onus on your opponent to do something. You can attack with a weapon and then just hold with everything else.
Yeah. Basically putting your opponent on next turn to deal with what you have.
Exactly. Now he has to kill command the SI unless he can just straight up kill him with... Oh, he's got Unleash the Hounds as the activator. That's right. So that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, indeed. And so what ended up being the victory for Leadpaint there is just having all that burn in his hand available. But of course, Ostkaka, you can see just by the hand that he has left after that loss in that game, double sprint sap. Really rough chain of events for him. But Leadpaint is going to take... game number 1 with the Hunter.
Just way too slow on the Rogues and at the same time as the Hunter. The Rogue had a decent start with being able to stabilize, but like the Hunter just didn't, drew burn after burn card after burn card. And, being able to just realize like, you know what, I have lethal and just continue to burn my opponent, it's fine.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, though, he didn't even need to attack like much with his weapon too.
No.
He just held the charges. And the freezing trap did end up becoming somewhat relevant, but that missed damage over time definitely cost Ostkaka.
Yeah, that's true. That freezing trap ended up being sort of the MVP of that series because there was plenty of burn in the hand left at the end of the game for Ostkaka to be able to finish if he hadn't had to play around the freezing trap every single turn.
All right, so that means the Hunter is gone, and Ostkaka's down 0-1. He still has yet to win his first game. And with that Hunter gone, all of a sudden, maybe the Warrior becomes a liability. We're talking about that this could be the big X factor of how he handles that Warrior, because we're saying that if he didn't line up against Hunter, would he be okay against the Zoo or the Druid?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. Ostkaka's Druid, his Warrior was a little bit on the slower end of things. It didn't top out on huge threats. I think Alexstrasza was a top threat. We didn't see Rag. We didn't see Ysera. We did, however, see Gorhal and Unstable Ghoul were things. So Unstable Ghoul, usually a great card against aggro classes.
Right.
But I'm not sure just by running one of them if it's going to make that much of a difference in Zoo.
Not really, because the eggs take a little damage when you don't want it to pop, and there is that Imp Gang Boss new card.
Yep.
There's just a lot of things where Unstable Ghoul is excellent. Say he implosions, you just play Unstable Ghoul afterwards, and it's like you can't do anything.
Yeah.
But out of the sequence in the wrong spot, Unstable Ghoul becomes a liability. And of course, Gorhal is a way where you can make up the card advantage for playing weak cards like Unstable Ghoul. But against a deck like Zoo, you're just not going to be able to keep up with 2 minions per turn.
We will be seeing that Warrior later on, perhaps. There's a chance that we might not, but this matchup is going to be the Warlock of Leadpaint versus Ostkaka, who's once again throwing out the Rogue.
Yeah, the Rogue versus the Warlock, still a pretty good matchup. A little bit tougher now that you have more minions that are stickier onto the board. You can't just eviscerate the Imp Gang Boss. You have to have the weapon up and attack. These type of small little nuances give Zoo a better matchup, but before, it used to be awful against a Rogue that would use tempo. Coin SI7 agent still so good against like a turn 2 Knife Juggler.
Yeah.
And from there, you just snowball the board.
And Leadpaint's Zoo Warlock is a little bit heavier of a Zoo Warlock. Of course, it does run all that demon synergy with Void Callers, Doom Guards, Bane of Doom, and Mal'Ganis, which seems to be more standard these days. I think more players than not are running those types of cards instead of the old, like, really fast all-in type Zoo. And the line is sort of blurred between Zoo and Demon Lock nowadays.
I mean, Ostkaka does have the Deadly Poison and the Blade Flurry combination. I think the only thing to pair it together with this that can make it sweeter is Backstab. In the meantime, a pretty solid curve with the coin for Leadpaint. And if you can keep Knife Juggler alive, he might have the opportunity to leverage that into a really strong implosion turn.
Yeah, one of the things I'm sure Ostkaka is probably a little bit disappointed in right now is the fact that he's went first. Yeah, especially with SI agents in his hand like this. That play that you mentioned earlier, being able to coin SI agent into a Knife Juggler or Flame Imp is a big turn. But now, in order to combo the SI agent, he has to wait until next turn.
Yeah, I guess you just eviscerate this turn then.
Yeah.
Just smack the Knife Juggler for 2. You still take damage and it's painful, but next turn you have an opportunity to gain some tempo. You don't want to just use the Deadly Poison here, because then SI7 next turn becomes even more awkward.
Yeah, especially since you have 2 of them, you want to make sure that you line yourself up to be able to combo one of them. It's the only way that you'll be able to find enough of that tempo to be able to come back in the game. He does have Blade Flurry, though.
Yeah, I mean, there is a play you can Deadly Poison and Blade Flurry if you really feel like you want to take the pressure off the board. The next turn you have turn 4, you don't get the weapon up again. If he plays the Imp Gang Boss, you're in a little bit of a tough spot.
Wow.
He makes a call to drop the SI7 agent, which is trying to trade, which is definitely... Well, okay, not definitely. It has a high chance of backfiring because of this implosion. But of course, Ostkaka does have the Blade Flurry, so Leadpaint could just simply coin the Void Caller instead, because he does have Mal'Ganis in hand.
Yeah. And I think that's a really smart play. He also has a second Void Caller in hand, so sometimes that could be even better to bring out earlier on.
I mean, the fact that Mal'Ganis comes down and your opponent doesn't have sap is also a dynamic where you have to be really cautious about. But if your opponent doesn't have the sap, you just win.
Exactly.
What does Rogue do?
Or if you get Mal'Ganis from a Bane of Doom, like we saw from Savitz earlier, sometimes you just win.
It happened also in DreamHack earlier today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got to see that, but it was really funny. Ecop He like spent 4 cards to kill Mal'Ganis, and his opponent just baited Doomed and
Got
got
it again.
Mal'Ganis. Yeah.
It's actually not as unlikely as some people would think, just
Yeah,
because there's not actually that great a pool of demons.
Well, not yet. We'll see as time continues to develop.
Yeah.
Azure Drake comes down, picks up the Sharp Sword Oil, so that's a lot of damage on the weapon.
Oh yeah. Loatheb coming down on curve on turn 5 is just such a tough thing for rogues to be able to deal with, because a lot of their plays are initiated by the use of spells. A lot of times they want to be able to like play an Azure Drake and then a spell, or play a spell and combo it up with SI Agent.
Right.
It's not usually a chance where they can just play a body on the board.
That was an interesting sequence that Leadpaint chose to attack. He could have attacked with the weaker Demon first, on the off chance his second Void Caller got buffed by Mal'Ganis to a 5/6. Kill off the Drake. They would have had it survive. He instead opts to go for this Void Caller, which gets his cards out a little bit earlier, makes it better for Doomguard. But at the same time, it makes his hand a little bit more awkward next turn, as he wouldn't have Void Caller to fill out the rest of his mana curve. So, and he would have kept that 5/2 on board. Ostkaka has to pass, by the way.
Wow.
Which, is this just game straight up? There's 12, 17, 21. Yeah, that's lethal.
Wow. That's
That's
crazy.
exact lethal right here.
Yeah. The only play... Actually, no, it wouldn't even. That's just really crazy. Mal'Ganis on turn 6 on the board from a Void Caller.
Yeah.
And you were right. Sometimes Mal'Ganis comes out, you just straight up lose.
There's actually nothing you can do here.
Yeah.
And Ostkaka had... Did he have any play the previous turn? I don't think so.
He could have backstabbed.
Backstabbed for 5. He couldn't even eviscerate anything.
Yeah. And, I mean, even if he'd done that, he would have had to attack into the Void Caller to kill it. Would have taken that 3 damage anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered.
That's pretty nuts, man, that the Warlock deck was able to destroy the Rogue this quickly.
Yeah.
Usually doesn't happen, but of course the sequence events happened as so. 2 Void Callers, 1 Mal'Ganis.
Yeah.
Sounds like a really disgusting movie.
Yeah.
And it was.
And of course, you also have to take into account the fact that that game would have been a lot different if Ostkaka had been able to go second.
That's right. If he could have gotten the SI7 agent onto one of the 3/2s, controlled the state of the board a little bit better, Void Caller would have came down a little bit less stable. Who knows? Maybe Ostkaka could have been able to take advantage of it. But at the same time, he would have hit his Azure Drake a little bit later. Very hard to tell, but in the end, one thing is for sure, this Rogue is struggling. And it's struggling all weekend long. We've been seeing Rogues lose a lot more often ever since Black Rock Mountain has started coming out. And
still, players rate it as being one of the strongest decks currently. I don't know if players' opinions are going to change because of the results that Rogue has been showing over the past week, but they will. It keeps coming up.
Yeah.
And of course, Ostkaka lost 3-0 in his first series, down 2-0 in this series. He's yet to win a game today.
He came through the qualifier. I think people might have seen Ostkaka at Sea Story Cup. In fact, he's wearing the same hoodie that you would at the tournament. And they might assume, like, oh, is he like the invite for this week by any chance? No, actually, of course, Ostkaka qualified. And, you know, funny enough, Ignite did, too, speaking of Sea Story Cup.
Yeah.
Both those guys qualified, but he came here. Now he's down 0-5 in the entire tournament.
Ostkaka was so happy with his performance that he actually hasn't taken that sweatshirt off since he left.
That's right. He changes his clothes bi-monthly.
Oh, wow. Was that a jab at my misusing the word bi-monthly?
It is whatever you want it to be, TJ.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Ostkaka does play 4 drops. Who knew? He didn't. That's the first one he drew all series long so far, and that Rogue deck has been inconsistent to say the least. I think Gara from Tempo Storm said it best. He said Rogue doesn't lose many times to other classes and decks. It loses to itself a lot. Just because sometimes things don't line up correctly. You do have those double sprints.
Yeah.
And you don't draw preparation. Guess what? They might as well be Deathwings. They just actually don't do much until the late stages of the game.
I think the same is the case a lot of times for Freeze Mage as well. It's sort of the deck is playing against itself a lot of times.
Right, but the thing is about Freeze Mage is that there's so much card draw, like 1/3 to almost half the deck involves drawing cards with Command Scientist, Acolyte, you know, Arcane Intellects. It's kind of hard that Freeze Mage is inconsistent, which is why a lot of people like it.
So I've seen some rogues lately trying out Hungry Dragon in the rogue, especially Reynad, and I've tried it out myself, and I've tried been asking around to a lot of players what they think.
Granted that the rogue's hero power stays on them.
Yeah.
And I think 33% of the time around it's not a 1 health minion, so you should be able to kill it all.
Yeah, there are some players that say that Pilot Shredder is just a stronger card in general, regardless of the hero power interaction. And I think Ostkaka is in that boat.
It's more volatile. How about that? People really like consistency. Hungry Dragon is definitely way more consistent than the Pilot Shredder. The Pilot Shredder has such a wide variety of ranges that can be both harmful and beneficial that you can't really depend upon it. And over time, maybe it'll be improved even better if dragons continue to become boosted in terms of their overall synergy. Because the thing about Pilot Shredder that goes above everything else is that it's a mech. Yeah. That's why it's so versatile. It's like, it's a good death rattle minion and it's a mech.
Yeah, whereas rogues right now are not really running any of their dragons, so they don't necessarily get any benefit from Piloted Shredders either. But, I mean, just for the future, it seems like mechs are more synergistic in rogue than dragons would be.
I must safeguard them.
All right, well, trying to control the state of the board just a little bit. They don't want rogue to get carried away. Of course, playing control-oriented does give the opportunity for rogue to make these big swings. Violet Teacher is not bad, considering that you can Violet Teach your coin and then Fan of Knives to just take that out, create a couple of 1/1 tokens.
Yeah, indeed. And Leadpaint's in a rough spot because when all you're doing is using Ancient of Lore, or all you're doing is playing one large creature with Violet Teacher on the board, it's such a risk because any spell from the hand, I mean, if they do if backstab Eviscerate, they spawn 2/1 tokens, take so much tempo on the board as well, or even like a sap is something that could gain them lots of tempo as well.
Yeah, but this is dangerous here. Oh, he doesn't have enough mana. Blood Mage Fan Knives as high 7 agent is a clean removal, not to mention that you develop a nice set of board with drawing cards. So I guess it's back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Is there a Blade Flurry turn? No, you don't have enough mana for that either.
Nope. Didn't have a clean dagger from the previous turn, so nothing at all to combo the oil with.
Would you simply plop Lotheb, weapon up, and let your opponent try to deal with it, and then from there evaluate what you can do next turn, because you still have the Blood Mage played next turn?
Yeah.
Okay, so Lotheb with the sap is also really powerful, so Lotheb gets more damage in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I sort of like the sap better, just to protect your Violet Teacher as well. That Violet Teacher hasn't lived its life to the fullest yet.
No, man, she's a young aspiring woman.
Indeed.
Very career-oriented.
Those apprentices will tell you exactly that.
Oh, boy. Well, this is looking really awkward considering that you don't have a very good Ragnaros drop here. Rogue can't usually deal with big minions like Rag.
But Violet Teacher is one of the best minions to have on the board in defense against a Rag. So this is actually a really awkward turn.
I mean, the Rag could hypothetically be amazing. You just play up Rag, shoot the Lotheb.
Yeah, even Face would give you opportunities for lethal because you put him at 13.
It's just not as consistent as you think. Leadpaint shrugs it off.
Oh!
And hits the Violet Teacher. That's middle of the road. Definitely could have been way worse.
Yeah, and now Sap's gone as well, so that Lotheb's going to be really tough to deal with.
There is a clear. It's not as clean as I'd like to be. In fact, you know, drawing Sprint is an also interesting proposition here.
The one
that gives him a lot of ability, gives him a lot of freedom to dump his hand, so that way he can refill the next turn.
The one thing about that Sap play, though, is Ostkaka wasn't able to re-dagger up last turn.
That's true.
So now it makes all his turns awkward if he wanted to set up an oil play for this turn to maybe make for a big Blade Flurry. Not really possible now. It is possible, but it's not nearly as effective because you'd have to play like Blood Mage Thanos just to be able to combo with the Tinker Sharp's Arrow, and he wouldn't be able to Blade Flurry this turn.
Right. I mean, I still think Fan of Knives here, and then you SI7 unless you draw something better like Van Cleave. All right, SI7's okay. But it's like you said, you're still unable to develop the weapon, so it's still a little awkward mana-wise. This is very telling of the hand, too. There's no Eviscerate. Minions should be a little bit stickier onto the board.
Yeah. Swipe would have been fantastic here.
Still can pick it up if he uses Ancient of Lore.
That's true. Does have the Innervate.
And he still hasn't drawn it. It's a pretty strong likelihood by now, shouldn't it?
Ooh.
He's got combo. So he's going to place another minion and try and see if he can get enough board pressure so that this Force of Nature Savage can end the game.
Yeah, this Ancient of Lore does stay on the board. Would be exact lethal, but I doubt it will.
How much damage does he have? He's got 6 on board. He's got 8 with the Sharp Sword, or 9, excuse me. So that's 17. It's definitely not enough here.
No.
So I think the Azure Drake can definitely draw into something pretty nice.
Seven.
SI7 allows you to control the board a little bit too. And you can even Suicide Thanos, say if you want to draw more cards.
Wow. He's just going to go for the uncombo Tinker Sharp Sword. I mean, this is going to be a pretty good way to clear what's on the board.
It's a guaranteed way.
Yeah.
So this is a read that Ostkaka is making, saying he could have drawn Swipe pretty easily. He used Innervate, so he doesn't have Swipe. I'm going to try to leverage my board as much as I can.
Yeah.
Get mileage out of the SI7 agent. It's a very aggressive play, and he's okay with giving up life because, one, his opponent used an Innervate, so he can't combo him down. And even if he did have combo, he would have to have that specific second, or no, he already used both Innervates, so he can't use double combo anymore.
Yeah.
And then 2, if his opponent swipes, he gives up a lot of mana, and he can't develop much on board. Gives him an opportunity to play Azure Drake, SI7, and use the weapon next turn.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Boom's going to come down on this board, and this is actually pretty scary.
Ooh,
Oh, prep.
This prep could be huge.
I think it's... Yeah, he's going to be able to refill his hand pretty nicely. The only thing is, will he have enough mana to deal with what's on the board? To prevent himself from dying to combo?
I mean, it's a very high likelihood that he might draw Sap, but if he still doesn't, if he draws 4 straight minions, it's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, backstab's okay. Spell power on the board. Ooh.
Well, Thorson's kind of awkward because it doesn't really help too much of
No.
the hand do well. It's like, well, now you can make backstab -1, so if Lotheb gets dropped, it's only 4 mana.
Yeah.
This backstab is nice, though, to allow you to control the state of the board.
Yeah.
And he can also develop a giant Van Cleave. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how big this Van Cleave will be at the end of the day.
10-10, 12-12.
A well-endowed Van Cleave is about to come down onto the board, and I'm pretty sure his stats will immediately directly correlate to...
This guy's deck is huge.
This guy's deck is crazy.
This guy's toast.
Was that a 10-10?
It's 10-10 or 12-12. 10-10 might
I'm
be correct.
pretty sure it's a 10-10 because I'm looking at the sidebar right now.
I know for one thing, he's definitely 10 out of 10.
You know, he didn't make it a 12-12 because he wanted to... Oh, no, that's combo range. That's game over. Oh,
Wow.
that's so painful.
That is rough.
Ostkaka even played the minion so that he would have the chance to absorb some of the damage and set it up. But this rogue deck got 3-0 sweep, and that is a bittersweet way. Very bitter way. No, there's nothing sweet about that, actually.
No. That's super rough for Ostkaka. I mean, he's coming off. He's probably pretty confident after his performance in the Seed Story Cup and qualifying through the Open. Pretty confident qualifying through this Open as well. But, I mean, he went out of this tournament without a single win.
Without a single win, and more importantly, his Gosu Gamer ranking points have now dipped significantly. On the other side, Leadpaint. He's now staying alive in the tournament. He did lose to Savitz early on, but now he's going to be awaiting the win, or the loser rather, of the winner's match. So he still stays alive, this newcomer. Maybe he's an opportunity to paint himself pretty well, and I think what's cool about him, like you said, he qualified twice for ESL. So he's doing the Gooby Sencho from last season.
Indeed, yeah, and also Pinpingho, who actually never won a week, but has had enough points. Of course, the point system is gone. But, of course, Ostkaka will have another chance to be able to qualify for the Legendary Series Season 2 LAN Finals with the Redemption Tournament. All the players, besides the winner of every Legendary Series match week, will be put into 4 separate 7-player brackets at the end of the season. Of course, May 5th, 14th.
Brackets. That's interesting.
It's 28 players. Is the
right.
best. Yeah.
It's a little odd number.
Yeah, of course. And, of course, Leadpaint, even if he doesn't win today, he'd be entered twice into that bracket since he was part of the Legendary Series.
So he gets 2 chances.
Yeah, he'll be entered into 2 separate brackets. And that's it, even if he doesn't win this week. He still has a chance to win.
So he wouldn't take another player because there's no other player to fill that spot.
Exactly, yeah, since it's 28 players, which is the 7 players from every week that didn't lose. So That will be the last chance. We'll take 4 players from the Redemption Tournament, 4 players, of course, that won the Legendary Series match days, and then 8 players from that last chance qualifier that you talked about before.
All right. So Leadpaint gets 2 chances to go through that Redemption Tournament. I'm pretty sure that means he's going to join Archon in a couple of weeks. That means we're also going to go to our next match here. We have Kabi versus Savitz. That's the winner's match of Group A. That's going to be a good time, TJ. I can't wait to see who's going to advance. I mean, like we said, Kabi, one of these new players we don't really know too much about. This is an opportunity for him to take Savitz's throne, although Savitz looks like he's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, Kabi, of course, took that 3-0 victory. But, of course, that match and many more to come here on the Hearthstone Legendary Series. Don't go anywhere. Savitz versus Kabi right after.